This video is intended solely for educational and documentary purposes. It contains no ideology or propaganda. U-51, a German Type 7B submarine, built in Kiel at the Germania Werft shipyard, launched in the spring of 1938. She perished in the summer of 1940, suddenly, in a violent moment near Plymouth, in shallow waters. Not a single one of the 43 crew members survived. To this day, not a single photograph of the wreck site exists. What happened? On the day of its loss, U-51 was returning from a combat patrol. She had spent about 2 weeks in the North Atlantic. During that time, she sank at least 2 Allied vessels. One of them, the Sylvia Field, a coal transport. The second, a Danish steamship sailing under the British flag. The crew was exhausted. Watches were ending. Officers were preparing the logbook for headquarters. On board was the usual fatigue, the hum of diesel engines, the metallic vibrations, the smell of oil mixed with sweat. U-51 was cruising at a depth of around 14 meters, shallow, but just enough to avoid surface detection. She was headed back to the German naval base in Lorient. Less than a day remained until landfall, but someone was already waiting. The British destroyer HMS Cachalot was patrolling the area as part of the Plymouth Defense Zone. On the morning of August 20th, the hydrophone detected something unusual: metallic tapping, rhythmic yet faint. It resembled the subtle vibrations of propellers cloaked by the current. At 6:47 a.m., Cachalot altered course sharply. At 0652, depth charges dropped 5 at once. Depth 16 to 20 meters. 1 minute later, 3 more. One charge exploded near the conning tower. Eyewitnesses on the Cachalot would later report the sea rose like a wall, air bubbles, then a deep thud under the hull. U-51 took a direct hit to her central compartment. Instant loss of pressure. The bilge flooded, all systems went dead. Within 40 seconds, the boat rolled and sank. The crew never got a signal out. According to historian Heinz Stoltz, it happened so fast, the captain didn't issue a single order. Now a reconstruction, inside. At the moment of impact, Captain Lieutenant E. Grendel was in the control room, studying maps, making course notes. 2 senior sailors stood nearby. One monitored ballast tank pressure, the other oversaw diesel control. In the engine room, Chief Machinist Wolfgang Drese, 26. According to the watch logs, he was due to hand off his shift in 5 minutes. When the explosion came, compartments collapsed. Bulkheads shifted, hatches ripped from hinges, water surged in with brutal force. Crewmen were flung aft by the blast. Engineer Rolf Kastner later explained, "In these conditions, no emergency mechanism can activate. Even a crash surface maneuver, impossible." U-51 sank to about 45 meters, and there she lay. The current in the area is strong. The seafloor, silt and fine sand. Divers later noted, the hull rests at an angle. Deformation is visible near the conning tower and torpedo tubes. But the wreck was discovered only in 1999. For 59 years, no state made official efforts to locate or recover U-51. Why? No clear answer exists. The 43 sailors were listed as missing in action. Their names etched into a stone slab in Le Bourron, where the flotilla was based. No bodies were identified. Even families received only a sterile telegram: U-51 not returned. Als vermisst erklärt. U-51 did not return, declared missing. But this wasn't just the loss of a boat. It was the loss of experience, discipline, morale. U-51 was part of one of Kriegsmarine's most effective wolf packs. In 18 months, over 6 patrols, she accounted for 29,000 tons of sunk tonnage. Her crew was known as a golden team. That's why command buried the truth. When U-51's fate was officially acknowledged, panic set in. Quiet panic. Closed-door meetings, sealed envelopes, emergency cables to Berlin. The Lorient flotilla received minimal instruction. Only one line, no comment, no mention over radio. Other sub-commanders grew uneasy. Some had relatives aboard U-51, but no one asked questions. In those years, questions could get you removed from duty, or worse. Among the lost, navigator Kurt Meisen, 31, he left behind a journal, one of the few personal documents to survive. His final entry, 3 days before the sinking: "Gray skies. The commander is tired. We are heading home." That phrase, "heading home," captures the soul of submarine life. A charm, a hope, and a curse. Second theory of the loss: the so-called blind transit through a protected zone. British archives claim the area had acoustic mines deployed since spring 1940, not sound-sensitive, but responsive to hull pressure fluctuations. U-51 may have triggered one without ever touching a depth charge. In 2004, this theory gained traction after hull fragments were found with distinctive outward bends, evidence of an internal explosion or a mine. Third theory: espionage. A file titled Rotor Fish, discovered in East Germany after reunification, suggests a Navy radioman was compromised. His name redacted. But the August 18th transmission used irregular codes. A note follows. This may explain the precise timing of interception. U-51 wasn't just a loss. She became a symbol of vulnerability. Inside the flotilla, doctrines changed. Subcrews began receiving briefings on code variation, evasive return routes. Every mission, 3 possible tracks. Every return, strict radio silence. But it was too late. By 1941, similar attacks became frequent. The blind passage system failed. British patrols grew stronger. According to researcher Klaus Lindner, Germany lost 17 submarines in similar circumstances between fall 1940 and winter 1941. U-51 was the first. In 1987, a memoir appeared from the chief mechanic of U-65. He wrote, "We didn't fear depth charges. We feared coming home." That line became the epigraph of a book on the submarine war. It captured the dread, not of the enemy, but of the silence waiting at your own harbor. U-51's story is a story of silence. It was long kept unpublished. No heroism, no victories, just one fatal mistake, tactical, technical, or human, that cost an entire crew. Even the most perfect system fails when underestimated. Today, there's no memorial for U-51, but her coordinates are known: 49 degrees north, 5 degrees west. Sometimes research probes descend to her grave. They capture glimpses of the hull, shattered dials, frame remnants, signs of internal pressure. Sometimes a silhouette of the vent hatch. Sometimes a ceramic cup with the shipyard's mark. In 2015, a new expedition was launched. The vessel Poseidon departed Brest and scanned the seabed for 12 hours using side-scan sonar. At 75 meters depth, it detected a metallic object about 67 meters long, presumably U-51. The sonar revealed pressure anomalies, possibly the outlines of internal compartments. Among the findings, a division emblem, a fragment of a wooden clipboard with penciled notes still visible. In 2020, a group of researchers released a digital reconstruction of U-51's final route. Based on weather logs, archived maps, and coastal station records. The model showed a course change. 2 hours before vanishing, it deviated from the expected pattern. Why? Still unknown. Perhaps an emergency message came through. Perhaps enemy ships appeared on the horizon. In a private archive in Hamburg, a unique letter is preserved, addressed to a submariner's wife, dated August 1940. "If I come back, we start over. If not, I'm sorry, I did everything right." The letter wasn't delivered. It was discovered in 1992 inside an old family chest, a forgotten note, more revealing than any naval report. Today, the U-51 incident is studied in military academies as a tragedy that couldn't be predicted, but could have been prevented. U-51 is more than a boat. She is a testament to the fragility of even the strongest machines. A reminder, sometimes the enemy is not outside. Sometimes it's the silence within. And in that silence, beneath the deep, U-51 was lost forever.